Thanks for downloading this special presentation of the ThunderCast. Of course, I'm your host, KD Huddle. I'm joined today by Marshall Baseball head coach Greg Beals. We're going to talk a little bit about some 2024 stuff, but really the focus today is on 2025 and what the herd is going to look like this season, how they're going to compete throughout the season, and what's changed for Coach Beals last year to this year. So first, thanks, Coach Beals, for sitting down with me, taking a little bit of time and, peeling the curtain back a little bit on herd baseball and letting those herd fans in a little bit to hopefully get some more butts in seats at the Jack.
Yeah, no doubt. And thanks for having me on, and appreciate all you do for our program and the athletic department as a whole.
Well, I certainly thank you. I take that praise. And, we're just two fans that happen to have struck a chord with herd fans, and they like listening to us for whatever reason. But I appreciate it. I'm blessed to be in this position. I know my co-host Russ is blessed to be in the position he's in, and we're just happy as hell to be, a pseudo voice of herd fans.
Well, I think we're all fortunate. I've been here 2 years now, and the one thing that I've learned is Herd Nation is real and it's strong, and our community, our people are behind us, and so all that we can do to keep feeding that is great.
Yeah. So let's get into that, right? I hate to start out on this note a little bit, but you can't really talk about 25 unless you revisit what happened in 24 so you can go where you were to where you want to go, right? So it was an 18-37 season in 2024. And now, after having an off season to dive into it, I know you like diving into the makeup of your team and what went right and what went wrong. So having the opportunity to have done that now and prepared for 2025, looking back on it, what did you identify as the pinch points that kept allowing games to maybe slip away? What were those aspects that we just couldn't get right as often as we needed to?
Yeah, I think it's just a byproduct of a young program. As me and the players in our program get more entrenched with each other, and our systems get better, our culture gets better, we're going to find a way to win those close games. We played a bunch of them, tight games, and like you said, we seem to be a hit and a play and a pitch away a lot. It's a fine line between winning and losing a lot, and I think just the evolution as we move into this next year, another year together, I think we're going to start winning those battles.
Yeah, and I like that point you make. It was about a younger program, a lot of transition, a lot of new, right, from an overhaul essentially from a coaching change, and there were some guys that stuck it out. And I remember when we talked before, the narrative, the message you were sending me about those guys is that you were really happy that they were finally going to get to play in a ballpark. They had stuck it out and committed to a program with no home, and that was on the horizon. So now that's here, and we'll touch on that a little bit. But
I think the biggest new from last year was my coaching staff and the whole staff. And you use the word stick together. Like we stuck with our guys too. And, we had 17 seniors last year, and, I'm really happy to say that those 17 guys graduated. They have Marshall degrees now. And, we took some lumps in last year, but I think it was a big part of establishing a culture and an expectation. And, so there's a lot of new players this year, so we brought in 24 new players onto this year for the 25 team.
So that leads right into this next question. So what was the overall strategy, knowing you had such a large senior class? There were going to be a lot of new faces, and some of those guys are going to be tasked with contributing immediately. So what was the strategy as you and your staff approached recruiting for this 25 season?
Well, the strategy was to stick with our guys like we did. And we knew we were going to have a large senior class, and that was going to give us the opportunity as a coaching staff to fully evaluate, not have to rush and feel like we needed to bring a bunch of guys in right away. Gave us the opportunity to evaluate where we were as a program, and also really get our feet on the ground from a recruiting standpoint. It allowed the ballpark to get built, which is a big difference recruiting and being able to bring recruits in here to Jack Cook Field. I just felt like the timing was right to kind of, like you say, stick with our guys, let my coaching staff get their feet on the ground, let the recruiting really dig in. And now we can not just go get guys, get the right guys, the guys that fit to what we're trying to establish here.
Yeah, that's such a big thing. I don't think anybody was saying we've got to win right now or else. We knew it was going to be a process. And we kept hearing Christian Spears say, when the systems get in place, this guy's going to win and he's going to win big. And he's, of course, talking about you. So there was a lot of excitement around herd baseball with a stadium and with a coaching change. And I think there was a lot of energy in and around that ballpark, regardless of what the outcome on the scoreboard was. I know you're proud of your guys and you're proud of your coaches. I am equally. I'm also proud of our fans for continually coming out and setting and growing with this program with you. I think that says a lot of the faith they have in you and the staff to run this program.
Well, thank you. And that starts with Christian Spears, our AD, and Brad Smith, our president. Those guys, have given me a vote of confidence for sure. There's a lot of work to do. This is a really good baseball conference. The Sun Belt, baseball conference is ranked 4th in the country. That and soccer are probably our 2 strongest nationally. We're tough in all sports. You watch. It's hard to win on the road in football and basketball and all. The competition is strong here, but especially tough in baseball. So we got a lot of work to do, but I feel good about the move that we've made here in putting this ball club together for the 25 season. I believe we're going to be very competitive. And we're deeper. The depth of our talent is significantly stronger. And I feel confident about our top shelf that they can compete in this tough conference.
So I love hearing that, right? Because there are a lot of players that graduated, that Herd fans will surely miss. Guys they came to love and see in the lineup. Guys like Owen Ayers and Trey Hondras and KB and others. The list goes on. So to that,
and those are good players. That's what I mean. Like I think the biggest thing is that the depth that we've brought in to back up and have a strong program and not just some good players.
So we get excited when we see such and such has committed to the Herd, right? And you get amped up about that. But ultimately, fans don't know who's rising in the hierarchy of who's going to get playing time. So to that end, who are a handful of players that are new to the program or maybe have been here that you're expecting to have a much bigger 25? Who are those guys that fans are going to be really excited to see moving forward?
Well, that's one thing that we've talked about as a team is what our expectations are. And nobody knows how good we're going to be because even our returning guys, and I want to talk about them first,
Sure.
have gotten significantly better, and a big part of that is the facility and our ability to train. We are training at a different level than we've been able to train in the past. That's because of the facilities that we now have here in the baseball program. It's not only the ballpark, but it's also the Alex Lawrence Clubhouse, which has our locker room, our training room, and an indoor training facility as well, with 3 batting cages and an indoor mound. And these spaces just give our student athletes so much more of an opportunity to get after it and develop their game. So we've developed a lot. And let's start on the mound. And you got to talk about Bryce Blevins is coming back, a first team all conference lefty. That's going to be that's the flagship of our pitching staff. We're expecting Bryce to go out and be our Friday night starter and open up series. We also have Griffin Miller back, who went into the rotation the last month of the season last year as a freshman, and he has really grown. Nick Wyrick's back, who was our main reliever on the pitching staff. But we did go and we got a couple guys out of the transfer portal. We got a guy named Phoenix DiGiacomo, who will pitch in our rotation, will be a starter for us, and he's going to really help beef up that starting rotation. We also got Tim Baird, a seasoned reliever, who will beef up the back end of our bullpen as well. So a couple of key pieces there on the pitching staff. And then on the position player side, start with Eli Vogelsong, who's a senior outfielder, has been with us his whole career. Eli has really developed offensively. He's always been a great defender. His offensive game has really developed. He'll be out in left field. Cam Harthen was our center fielder last year. He's continued to develop his run game. as far as being able to steal some bases, but he's also picked up a little bit of pop in his bat. Got a bunch of base hits last year. We're going to see a few more extra base hits out of him this year. Eddie Leon has been in the program for 4 years. He's going to be our starting third baseman. Had a really good fall. But we got a couple of guys there. We got new guys out of the portal as well. Nolan Wilson is behind the plate. We'll fill Owen Ayers' shoes, big shoes to fill right there. But Nolan is very capable and will do well behind the plate and also hit in the middle of our lineup. Micah New will be our shortstop. And I'm really excited about Micah. Micah is a really talented young man, can run and throw and hit with some power. And we got a tough nut competitor in Jackson Halter, who will play in right field for us. Those three guys out of the portal. And then both pitching and on the position player side, especially on the pitching side, we got a good handful of freshmen that are going to see the mound right away. And they're talented. They're freshmen. So they're going to continue to grow, but very talented. And those rookies are going to be the ones that really develop that depth that we talked about earlier, especially on the pitching staff. And that was one thing that we evaluated more than anything, is we were missing just some depth on the pitching staff and our ability to handle the middle parts of the game. We're going to be much stronger in that area this year. We got a freshman in Kenyon Collins, who's right here from Cabell Midland. He's going to contribute a lot as a freshman. Clint Moak out of Hamilton, Ohio, is going to contribute a lot. Peyton Jackson from Boyd County. So a couple of local guys are rookies that I foresee getting the ball and being able to contribute for us right away.
And it's a lot of local flavor here, a lot of seasoned flavor here. So there are plenty of names still around that folks were watching last year. I was not expecting you to run down the entire diamond for me, man, but that's great. That's exactly what people need to hear.
Well, everybody wants to hear about the new, and there is a lot of new here, but, no pun intended with our shortstop being Micah New, but we got some guys that have stuck with us and have been in this program for a while, and I'm really excited about how they've developed and their game has continued to grow over the past year.
Yeah. You know what? And I want to say that for all the talk that there is, that there's no loyalty, no commitment in collegiate athletics as a whole, you just ripped off a whole list of guys that have spent a lot of time in Huntington, West Virginia. So loyalty is very much alive in collegiate athletics. And now we've got some guys that are going to really reap the benefits of that loyalty. And I think that's great to hear. Fans need to hear that kind of stuff.
Well, it's one, just not to interrupt you, but like one of our core values is family.
Yeah.
And you can't just say it, you got to live it. And in order for it to have sustainability and for the next group of guys to live it, then they got to feel it from the past. And I feel like we've done that. And I'm just excited about, the culture that we're developing here.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks are, to be honest with you. But here's the thing. The season is so quickly approaching. You're less than a month away. And I don't know what this means, what this says, but it's just timing of this interview and what's going on. But given the current weather situation in the region, how freaking good is it to have a trip to Hawaii on the horizon to open up the season, right?
We're excited about tomorrow. Tomorrow's our first team practice. We're excited about that, but make no mistake, everybody in this building knows that Hawaii's 3 weeks away. Tomorrow's 3 weeks from opening day, so they all know, and certainly looking forward to a trip to Hawaii. I've never been there. I'm excited about it.
I bet. That's a great way, nice little perk to open the season. Long trip, but man, I'd like to see the herd come back with a handful of doves, obviously. I want to revisit something that I asked you a while back, and we've talked about the facilities a little bit. I asked you when we did the interview for the Thunder Trust how the opening of Jack Cook Field and those facilities was going to allow you to better manage your program versus what you could do now. So now all that stuff's built. So we can revisit that, and you can drive home. You've had a year in the ballpark. How are those facilities, and how are those fans in the stands really helping?
Oh, it's a game changer for us. The ballpark is great. It's easy for me to say that because I had my fingers on all of it during the build and the design process. So, I think we did a great job. Everybody involved, the construction crews, the workers, our staff here at the university. we built something special here. And it's nice to have a home field advantage, and it takes a crowd to have a home field advantage. And we had people come out to the ballpark. I'm excited for our people to see this team. I think it's a team that they're going to get excited about and be able to get behind and support. We're going to win some more games. I'm really confident of that. We're going to play a brand of baseball that's going to be exciting because we got a little more power in our lineup. So we got the ability to run some bases and do some exciting things.
Well, I tell you what, it's like you're staring at my list of questions here, because my next question was, what's the style of play that Herd fans can expect in 25? Are you going to be that aggressive base running team? Are we relying on pitching more so? Is it great defense? Is it all the above?
Yeah, it's got to be a little bit all the above, and it always has. As a head coach and as a coaching staff and a program, we got to be able to adapt to our talent. And each guy brings something to our team. There's some guys that are going to hit for power, and there's some guys that are going to run and hit for average and play great defense. We got guys that can pitch, and guys that be starting pitchers, guys that can really spin curveballs and work out of the bullpen. So it's a little bit of everything. I think when things are clicking right, defensively, we're throwing a lot of strikes. We're pounding the strike zone. We're able to hit with our off-speed pitch. And those off-speed pitches are even more valuable when you're ahead in the count and hitters' bats are active. So that's our main thing is setting the tempo on the mound by throwing a lot of strikes and playing a quicker tempo game. And it requires being ahead of the count and throwing strikes to play with tempo defensively. On the offensive side, we want to be dynamic. And what I mean by that is a little bit of power and a little bit of speed. Our guys either have to have the ability to drive a guy in from first base or be fast enough to score from first base. So each guy brings his own talent, like I said earlier. But I like the combination. I like how we're going to be able to blend our offense and blend our pitching staff.
And it sounds like you're building everyone up here for some must-see baseball in Huntington, West Virginia. You're going to have a hell of a lot of opportunities to get out to the Jack and catch the Herd. So please, I implore you, as fans of Herd Athletics, if you haven't been to Jack Cook Field, you've got to go. Number one, it's a great venue to watch any baseball, but we're talking about improved Herd baseball, and that's what we all want to see. We want to see a competitor because we know, you mentioned, the SBC is a damn good baseball conference with top 4, top 5, whatever, depending on where you're looking. So how does the Herd steadily begin to chip away at those standings in 25? There's some really, really talented teams that are in this conference. How do we find ourselves closer to the top rather than in that middle or lower third?
Well, I think I like the word you said, chip away. And our mission right now is to play in that conference tournament at the end of the year. I want Marshall University represented in our conference tournament, and I want this group of guys to have a chance to play for a championship. And how we're going to do that is we got a plan. Each guy has a plan. We have a plan as a team, and it's about executing. And that's really what we're driving, is putting our guys in the right frame of mind so that they're ready and willing and able to execute in given situations. And like we said earlier, man, like, it's a pitch, it's a play, it's a hit when we need it at the right time away. And I just think we're better poised to make those plays and get those hits when we need to.
Yeah. A couple of years in the league now. What's something new? There's always something new that you learn about the league that you didn't know. So what's the one thing now that you know now that you didn't know about the league a year ago?
Well, that how competitive it is. But I've got to know my colleagues. I've got to know the coaches in the league, and we got a good group of coaches. I respect them. It's a hardworking crew. It's a baseball group. Mm-hmm. We play really good baseball. There might be more talented conferences out there and all, but our brand of baseball is really strong. There's really no surprises because you expect the challenges, you expect the tough. I'm really happy. I'm pleased to see that baseball is an emphasis and really matters in our conference. And, I spent a lot of time in the Big Ten, and it's a far second to football, as you know, all other sports. we've got a strong emphasis in the sport of baseball in the Sun Belt Conference, and that's been exciting.
Yeah, I'll feel confident saying as a whole that baseball is probably the second most popular, and in some fan bases, it is the most popular sport in this entire conference. So that's refreshing. That's not anything as a longtime Herd fan that I'd been a part of. Conference USA had good baseball, but people didn't like sit around and wait on it. We have fans of some schools that sit around and wait on baseball season to come around. That's really unique view.
I've had the chance in the 2 years. We've gone to Coastal Carolina. We've gone to Louisiana. We've gone to Southern Miss, and I challenge our crowds and we're getting close, but those people show up and support those ball clubs. I got a job to do to help our people do that. And when I get you out here to the ballpark, I hope to keep you and with what you see and the excitement that you see here in the ballpark.
So again, you're staring right at my list of questions because you teed it up for me to ask. What is the number one thing that Marshall fans can do to help your program?
Just simply support us and your attendance and your presence and being seen and heard, man, is the best thing that you can do for our guys. That's the thing. These guys put a lot of work in. They work hard, and it's great when they walk out here, and it's an awesome feeling. You walk out of our clubhouse and you enter the field from left field, and you get a walk from left center field to the third base dugout. And when they see a couple thousand people in the stands already, a half hour before the game, that starts to turn the juice on.
Yeah, it's a great atmosphere. I've been when there's a handful of fans and it was still loud and rowdy, and I've been when it's very, very full and it's just a whole different level. It is an entirely different level. It's as electric.
I want to touch on, like, our best crowd was probably against WVU last year here, and obviously it's a rivalry, so we're going to get a crowd here, but our crowd helped us. We won that game, in extra innings. We played a tough, and they're a very good ball club, but we got carried and helped through, and that intensity, that energy that was in the crowd up there just helped push us. And we made big play on defense when we needed to, and we got a big hit when we needed to for a walk-off win.
Yeah, that was a big one. That was a big one for sure. But so you heard it straight from Coach Beals. Come to the games, be there in the stands, support the team in person. And if you want to, you can support in other ways. Obviously, join the Big Green, help fund those scholarships. Join the Marshall Dugout Club if you want to be a sports-specific athletic supporter, right? You can donate to the Baseball Championship Fund if you want your donations to go directly to Coach Beals. Coach Beals' baseball program. There are several ways that you can contribute financially, but all that's great. A butt in the seat, there's just no substitute for an extra butt in a seat. Am I right?
100%. I mean, 100%. That is the support that we need. That is the support that feeds our student athletes. And so we certainly appreciate that. And it, as we're building the program, that's part of it. Mm-hmm. That is certainly part of building the program, that we have a following, and we have an attendance, and we have a crowd here, and we have a home field advantage.
Yes, it certainly it falls on the fan base as much as it does a coach, the coaching staff, the players to execute. Fans have to execute. You have to execute buying those tickets. You have to execute walking through the gates, and you have to execute sitting in the stands and rooting on the Herd. That's what it's all about. Coach, I would love to keep you and talk to you for as long as you would like to, but I know you're a busy guy, and I know you cherish a little free time when you get it. Season's ramping up. You talked about it. Opening day's tomorrow. It's going to get ripping and roaring. So I'm going to let you out of here, right? I can't say thank you enough for sitting down, peeling the curtain back, like I said, letting Herd fans get a little bit of insight to this program, building a little bit more excitement. Thank you so much for joining me today. Best of luck in 2025. I know we'll see you at the Jack.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I thank you. Appreciate our time together. And as always, go Herd.
Go Herd. We'll see you next week. It's the ThunderCast. Later.